You have voted and been a part of a party that uphold, built, cultivated, and created these systems. Dare I even say perfected them. So to sit here and to say that our political system is all of these things when you're in it right now, when a lot of the people that we see coming across our screens and creating the policy have been there for decades, they uphold all of it. And your party in particular has been one who has created policies that have negatively impacted people that look like me and you while sending that money overseas. So I'm just trying to understand, if it's rooted in white supremacy, then are you a white supremacist in blackface that's upholding these structures?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I gotta tell you guys, I absolutely love it when the race card is reversed on black Democrats, okay? Because they love playing the race card, especially when they're losing an argument, right? They want to boo-hoo, whine, and cry, racism, white supremacy, right? But what really upsets these people is when that card gets played on them. Like, for example, I did a video a few days ago about Miss Angela Ree going on the Breakfast Club and getting upset, visibly angry over Jill Stein basically accusing Angela Ree of using white supremacist talking points. Now, Angela Ree is a black liberal woman. Jill Stein, being a white socialist, used that line against Angela Ree because Angela Ree was low-key trying to imply that Jill Stein is a racist by saying that, well, Jill, you continue to run in all these elections and you're losing, and it seems as if you're targeting black people, right? You're running against black people. Maybe you hate blacks. Maybe you're a racist. And that's when Jill Stein basically reversed the race card on her and said that, well, you're using white supremacist talking points, right? And Angela Ree lost her mind, right? So now we got to talk about this debate between Miss Whitley Yates, who's a black Republican woman, okay, and Jamaal Bowman, who's a black Democrat in Congress, who he's not going to have a job for much longer. Okay, he's going to go back to being a school teacher or a school principal, whatever he was doing before he got into Congress, because he lost his race, right? And this woman is going to go absolutely savage on Jamaal Bowman, and it is beautiful. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Why we have inflation? Because corporations have been raising taxes on your groceries, on everything else, and they haven't come down post-pandemic.
Corporations have been raising taxes. Corporations have been raising taxes. This is a sitting Democrat congressman claiming that inflation is going up because corporations have been raising your taxes. Okay, let's continue.
And so she's going to go after that, which is part of her economic policy, to bring down those costs. So when we talk about inflation, that's what we're talking about. You know, and again, they didn't get a lot in the policy because he's wild and they just going back and forth on character stuff. But yeah, man, it was, I thought she won the debate. I thought she could have killed him even more. She should have brought up the tax cuts. She should have brought up the tens of billions of dollars that the Biden administration has forgiven in terms of student loans. When he brought up student loans, I'm like, yo, hit him with the data. My wife is one of the people who have benefited. She's a third grade teacher.
Ding, 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 ding. Listen to these clowns. Listen to these clowns. This guy is literally saying, well, yeah, Kamala could have done better during the debate if she brought up how she was forgiving everybody's student loans, including my wife's loan, right? Which, again, tells you everything you need to know about why Democrats support these policies, okay? They are trying to get rid of their own debt using other people's taxpayer dollars, right? So they want you to pay for their bad decisions, right? They want you to pay for their debt, okay? And they think that this is something that you should brag to the American people about, how you're forgiving student loans, okay? How you are making people who did not go to college, who did not take out loans, who paid off their loans, who did it the right way, who are currently doing what they're supposed to be doing, being financially responsible, that made good decisions. You want Kamala Harris to brag about that on stage? I don't think that would be a good idea. Okay, I really don't. Just like I don't think it would be a good idea for Kamala Harris to attack Trump over his tax cuts, which were responsible for one of the greatest economies that we've seen in the 21st century. And people wonder why this guy lost his race. Well, the reason why he lost his race is because he's a big dummy. It's not because of AIPAC. It's not because of Israel. It's because this guy is an idiot, right? This is the same dude that says, yeah, inflation is going up because corporations are taxing you, right? They're raising taxes. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating stuff. This is the same guy that was so dumb that he thought that pulling a fire alarm would open the door. At this point, actually, I'm starting to believe him, right? I'm actually starting to believe he was that dumb.
The loan's canceled. She didn't really hit him with that. A couple of times she could have hit him, but he's just a wild dude. Like, he's wild. And, like, if you want, again, the system is broken, corrupt, whatever. That's not because of her. It's because of white supremacy. If you want just complete chaos and anarchy and white nationalism, which is what he represents, cool, vote Trump. But if you're trying to get to some sense of stability, in my opinion, it's Kamala. But as you both know, you heard me talk before, it's not just her. It's how are we holding the House and the Senate accountable and local elected officials accountable to do the right thing by our people.
So, Congressman Bowman, do we know who Abdul is and why his house? Why was it?
So that was wild. That's what I'm saying. Like, yo, Abdul, I spoke to Abdul. What did he say? I spoke to Abdul. I told him you better not do it. Like, this dude is off the chain, son.
It's called foreign policy. Again, no, I don't. That's what it's called. It's called preventing war, which is something that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris apparently are terrible at. Trump was amazing at that. What Trump was talking about is that, yeah, I showed this guy, the leader of the Taliban, if you F with us, okay, if you make our withdrawal process a pain in the ass, then we will clap you the same way that we clap General Soleimani. And that's it, okay? And we'll throw up the American flag, like the set, while we, dance on your grave, right? This is what Trump told the guy, right? And guess what? Guess what? We didn't have no problems. We didn't have no issues. They weren't killing U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan like they were before, right? Trump saved a lot of lives with his foreign policy. So these people are laughing and giggling and kikiing and ha-ha, but it tells you how much they really know about how effective Trump's foreign policy was.
I personally don't know who he is.
Okay, you don't. Okay.
I do not know who he is. But again, that speaks to our foreign policy, right? And again, we still have a foreign policy when we're sending billions of dollars a year to Israel to support a genocide, not just in my opinion, but according to international courts. But we also have a foreign policy that supports child migrants in the Congo mining cobalt with their hands, that supports all of our technology, and they're not getting the financial benefits of that. We also have a foreign policy that supports.
They're not mining cobalt; they're mining coltan. That must be what you're talking about.
Thank you very much.
I gotta fact check you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Even though I still think it might be cobalt, but that's fine.
You probably do. That's probably why you didn't win that re-election.
The point is, there are black children using their hands in their African country, mining raw materials that the West, meaning white people, meaning Trump's white supremacy, is using to build wealth, and African nations aren't benefiting from that. So that's, again, connected to our foreign policy. It's all fucked up. Listen, the American political system is rooted in white supremacy. And we, on the ground, locally and nationally, need to continue to organize to push against that. So that's
you been a part of it? Are you a part of white supremacy and blackface in your position in Congress? Because the truth of the matter is you and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and a lot of these politicians who have been in office for decades. Kamala Harris has been doing this for 21 plus years, almost older than me.
Not in Congress.
Hold up. Listen. Joe Biden has definitely been there longer than me.
We ain't talking about Biden.
Hold on. We're talking about the system. I thought we were just talking about the system.
We are.
1 second. Let me finish. Black man. You have voted to send that money over there. You have voted. You obviously don't know. Hold on. But let me finish, sir.
Let her finish, and then we'll let you respond.
Claiming my time. You have voted and been a part of a party that uphold, built, cultivated, and created these systems. Dare I even say perfected them? Dare I even say perfected them? And so to sit here and to say that our political system is all of these things when you're in it right now, when a lot of the people that we see coming across our screens and creating the policy have been there for decades. At the end of the day, whether or not Trump is polished or not, because he's been doing this for 4 years versus the person that's been doing it for 21, or before y'all reverse Biden up out of there, who has been doing it for multiple decades, they uphold all of it. And your party in particular has been one who has created policies that have negatively impacted people that look like me and you while sending that money overseas. So I'm just trying to understand, if it's rooted in white supremacy, then are you a white supremacist in blackface that's upholding these structures?
Yes, that's exactly what he is. That's exactly what it is. And she's exactly right. Okay? Because these people always want to run around, hey, white supremacy, the system, systemic racism, which, by the way, okay, if all this stuff existed, they wouldn't be in positions of power, right? Jamaal Bowman would not become a congressman if white supremacy was actually a thing, okay? But this guy supports a party that is responsible for a vast majority of the so-called systemically racist policies that he loves to complain about so much. Like, for example, redlining, right? You know how these people always boo-hoo, whine, and cry about redlining? Well, who is responsible for redlining? FDR, who is basically a deity in the Democrat Party, right? That is who every Democrat wants to be like, okay? They all want to be like FDR, right? This is who they want to be. This is who they cite, okay? Redlining happened in the New Deal, okay? Democrats started that. Democrats were the party of slavery. Democrats were the party of Jim Crow. Democrats were the party of segregation. Joe Biden, when he was in the Senate as a young senator, this guy was pro-segregation, right? He was against busing. He was against integration, okay? This guy was hanging out with Klansmen. Now, what is the difference between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris today? Not much, right? Not much. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden support all of the foreign policy that this guy claims is white supremacy. But yet he's telling the American people, hey, you need to vote for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. But yet they are responsible for upholding the system that you claim is white supremacy. Again, these people are clowns. Absolute clowns. Because when you look behind the curtain and see who is responsible for all the so-called white supremacy, right, you see it's basically Democrats. Like, for example, the crime and the drug bill that these people love to boo-hoo, whine, and cry about so much, right? Well, who was the architect of that? Joe Biden. Joe Biden was the architect of what these people claim is a white supremacist system, which is the criminal justice system.
So again, you obviously don't know me and don't know my record to even be talking.
I know you pulled the fire alarm, you lost your election, and now you're sitting outside in DC after having a couple drinks at an event we were just at. I know that's what I know.
Spending his time with our lovely audience, I'd say at that. Thank you.
Absolutely, and that's besides the point, that last point you just said. But anyway, the Republican and the Democratic Party have both been complicit in supporting white supremacist ideology. So let's be clear about that. In my opinion, the Democrats still have done more to support working class people and marginalized people in our country. For example, we continue to support Social Security, we continue to support Medicare, we continue to support the Department of Education and other federal offices that serve the most marginalized people. I still want the party to go further with issues like reparations, with issues like the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, and many other issues. So just want to be clear about that. Republicans, in my opinion, this modern day Republican Party, we're not talking about 100 years ago, 20 years ago, talking about modern day Republican Party. When I pulled that fire alarm, to use your example, they tried to paint me as one of the insurrectionists from January 6th. That was crazy.
No, it wasn't, because you pulled a fire alarm in order to obstruct an official proceeding. It's really that simple, which would make you an insurrectionist. Part of the reason why you're not in Congress anymore. You should have been voted out. You should have been kicked out. You're lucky that you weren't. The only reason that you weren't is because the Republican Party is soft, right? That's the only reason.
They have no policies or very little that support the upliftment of our communities, whether it's affordable housing, whether it's childcare, whether it's paid leave, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's reparations. None of that does this current Republican Party support.
False. False. Look at Trump's policies when it comes to no tax on tips or no tax on overtime. I think that would be massively beneficial to everybody in this country, right? Regardless of your race or your skin color. Okay? That's not a handout. That is, well, you work harder, you work more, you get paid more, you benefit more, right? You do better than other folks. And the government is not going to steal your money, right? They're not going to disincentivize you from working more, right? Democrats think that doing for people is giving people handouts. But these handouts are the same handouts that have kept a lot of people down because people refuse to work. They refuse to get jobs, to build careers, okay, to put themselves in positions where they're not dependent on the government. These people think that government dependency by default means that you're doing something for people, right? And if anything, you're actually really hurting people when you make them dependent on the government because they're not fulfilling their full potential as humans and Americans, right? That's what happens. When people actually work, okay, when they build skills, when they contribute to society, when they give back more than they take, okay, that actually is what is beneficial to society, right? That's what's actually beneficial. But see, Democrats have nothing but handouts. They have nothing but, hey, the government needs to give you some money. The government's going to forgive student loan debt, right? The government is going to regulate more. The government is going to take from the most productive and give to the least productive. And you think that is going to work out good? No, it's not. It's been a disaster. Democrats have been doing this for the longest time. And guess what? These people are still asking for more. You want more, right? We want more socialism, right? It's not enough, okay? It's not enough. This is what this guy is saying.
And so the system has to change.
Don't gaslight us, right?
I'm not gaslighting. Oh my God.
Don't talk about the things that you guys support when you know that your party wasn't the one that created them. Like, how dare you say that Republicans don't support small or minority businesses? Who wrote the bill for the Small Business Administration to be an administration for the 8A program, which provides those no bid contracts for businesses like mine to be able to work with the federal government in the way that we're able to work with them. That was a Republican that wrote that bill. There was a Republican that started the Small Business Administration, and the programs that are predicated from the Small Business Administration, once again, founded by Republicans. So you can't say that you're supporting these things when the inception of those policies, the inception of Social Security, and the inception of all of these things were predicated by Republicans. But what I will say is that both parties do need to do a better job when it comes to tending to the issues of Black people and speaking to issues of Black people. Absolutely. The problem that we have here is only one of those parties relies on the Black community to stay in positions of power for decades. Only one of them. Only one of those parties promises things every election year, year after year, the exact same things, and produces absolutely no policies for their communities. And I live in a very blue city that was in a red state. I may be in DC right now, but I understand how this works. I used to also live in California when Kamala Harris was my senator, and she was also my attorney general. So I've lived under the rule of both Democrats and Republicans. And what I will say and what I can say is in some of the largest cities that are ran by blue, and I'm talking super majority, the entire council is blue, the mayor is a Democrat, the areas that we live in look the worst. And they rely on us year after year to give them our votes in exchange for absolutely nothing. So at the end of the day, if anybody owes the Black community anything, whether that be policy, whether that be reparations, it is definitely the party that has used our backs to get ahead.
Wow. Hey, My only response is that she's definitely right about the Small Business Administration being started by Eisenhower, who was a Republican. But when it comes to the Social Security thing, I'm not so sure. I think that came from FDR, okay, as well too, just like, you know, redlining and stuff like that. But outside of that, she's correct. There's only one party that is directly promising black people handouts, okay, and they never actually execute on the handouts, right? Like, for example, look in California. They've been promising those black people there, hey, we're going to give you reparations, okay? We're working on it. They dangle that reparations carrot in front of black folks' faces. They make the black people jump for it by voting, right? Vote for us, jump Negroes, right? Jump for your reparations. And then when it comes time to actually give the reparations, to give the carrot to the black folks, they say, nope, we're not going to do it, right? Can't do it. Can't fund it. Can't put our money where our mouth is. Nope, can't do it. This is what they do every single time. She also made a great point about how you have Democrats running these liberal cities, and in every single last one of these liberal cities, the worst places in these cities just so happens to be mostly black, right? Why is that? If Democrats are so great for black folks, why are they not taking care of black people in black neighborhoods in their cities, right? If black people were such a big priority to Democrats. Again, they're the only party that is making all these promises, saying they're going to do all these things, and then pointing the finger at the other party saying that, well, the reason why you're being held down is because of those racist Republicans. Even though Republicans don't have anything to do with the outcomes of the average black person in these liberal cities. Nothing to do with it. But that's who they blame it on. And they take no responsibility when they don't fulfill their promises. Like Gavin Newsom said, he blamed the black activists. It's their fault, right? It's your fault. You guys were too mean to us because you expected us to do what we told you we were going to do. They take no responsibility when they fail, when they don't do what they promised they were going to do, right? So I personally think that this woman made some great points. You can see why Jamaal Bowman is no longer going to be a congressman, right? Because the fact that this guy got voted into office in the first place was really a damn shame. And it is a damning indictment on the people in his district. And I'm glad that they decided to move on from this guy, even if they moved on to just another socialist, okay, who supports Israel. Regardless, Jamaal Bowman was not smart enough. He was not intelligent enough to be a congressman. So it's a good thing that he's no longer gonna be in that position of power. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.